Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new Fallout 76 news video, and it's very, very cool today. It would seem that Bethesda have contracted some outside help to work on Fallout 76 going forward, so that should be very, very cool. So let's dive in, have a look at the press release, and have a little chat about this one. Okay, so yeah, we apparently have a new studio being brought in from the outside to help Bethesda with Fallout 76, which is really, really cool news, quite interesting. You guys might have seen a lot of stuff on social media, particularly around the Fallout 76 corners of social media, regarding this particular update in the last 24 hours or so. We don't have a vast amount of information, but it does look pretty interesting. So first up, we'll have a quick look at the one press release we do have on the subject, which comes from 11 Studios, which are the people who have been brought in. So, this press release. At 11, we've made a name working with some of the biggest developers and publishers in the world. We're excited to be able to announce publicly that we've recently begun working with Bethesda Game Studios to create new challenges for players of Fallout 76. Since its release in 2018, Fallout 76 has invited players from all over the world to create a unique dweller, leave the vault, and explore the many wonders and challenges of the wasteland of Appalachia. Bethesda and 11 began speaking in late 2020, and since then we've been working together on a host of exciting new content that will be enjoyed by this passionate community of fans later in 2022. Quote here, "It's a privilege to be trusted to work on one of the most iconic franchises in gaming history," 11 CEO Lee Hutchinson said. "The team we've assembled to work on Fallout 76 are so passionate about the series, working with Bethesda is a dream come true. We've loved working on this game so far, and from small beginnings, our team is expanding as we plan to develop more content in the future, so keep an eye on our careers page for more information on open roles across all disciplines." Okay, so, not vast amounts of details here, but we can glean a few things from this and from 11's website as well, which I will link this post and you can explore that from there if you would like to, so description for that one. So yeah, 11 are a fairly small studio at the moment. In fact, they're a very, very small studio. As far as I can tell from their website, they look like they've got about 30 people working there, which is tiny. It's compared to the team in Austin who are already working on 76 at Bethesda, that's probably less people than are already working on the game. So this is not a massive swing up in the number of people. However, proportionally speaking, maybe as much as a 50% increase, maybe a little more. So in that regard, that's really cool. Potential for increased amounts of content coming out is very good. Obviously, I don't think if they were to hypothetically double the number of people working on the game, that would not necessarily equal double the amount of content coming out. It doesn't quite work that way. You maybe get 2/3 as much work being done. It's just the practical realities of things. But either way, more people, more content is very, very cool. So looking at this, looking at the history of 11, I don't know much about them. I had never heard of them before yesterday, so that's quite interesting. And not massively surprising given what they do. They're probably more well-known inside the developer community than in the gamer community, given their specific areas that they work on. They used to be a Sony studio, apparently, back in the day, but they went independent again back in 2012, and started working on their own sorts of stuff, which is to say, actually, other people's IPs. What 11 generally do is work on other IPs, port them to other platforms, and make additional content for them. So some of the stuff they worked on in the past is big names like Rust. They've been involved in that, particularly on the console side. They've also been involved in making DLC for Minecraft, and interestingly, Goat Simulator is on that list. But there's a whole load of other stuff that you can see on their website, so you can have a look at what they've been working on, and you'll recognise a good few games on there. I know I did. So they've come in to help Bethesda. It looks like, I know there's a lot of stuff around this on the socials at the minute that doesn't seem to have a whole lot of basis in anything other than wild speculation. So take some of that stuff out there with a pinch of salt, but it looks like they're being added as additional team members at a separate location, obviously. They're a British company. They're based in the north of England, I believe, rather than sort of fully taking over. In fact, if they were fully taking over, from the look of things, it would actually be a reduction in team size. Doesn't seem to be the case, though. There's no evidence to suggest that's what's going on. What does look to be the case is that they are providing extra boots on the ground, extra hands, so on and so forth, extra members of staff to work on the game alongside the existing team, which is great. That's really, really good for us because it means more people, more content. So we've got here that they began speaking in late 2020, and since then have worked together on a host of exciting new content that will be enjoyed by the community later in 2022. So the most likely scenario there for that is probably the Nuka World on Tour stuff that's coming out in the winter. Obviously, that means you're looking at basically a 2-year period from the end of 2020 to the end of 2022. But the initial period will be just making arrangements, discussing what they can bring to the table, and contracts and all that stuff that has to go on behind the scenes before they start working. So we can assume they probably started working on the game sometime last year. So in all likelihood, the first thing that they'll probably be working on is the Nuka World on Tour stuff, which is cool. It looks to be a sizable event that's going to significantly change a location in the Ash Heap when that arrives in the winter update. So very much a December sort of time, that one, maybe the beginning of next year even. It's also possible that they've brought some of their skills to expeditions, which would be very, very cool as well if that's the case, because that's been in development for a long old time at this point, better part of 2 years itself. So definitely a good few things there that they may well have contributed to. I think in particular that with them being an extra team added on, it's going to be part of the goal to increase the amount of content that Bethesda are bringing out for 76. I assume that's what's going on here. They've talked about new challenges, but that could just mean anything. It could be just their choice of words to say they're working on new content, or it could specifically be smaller things like, say, daily ops and so on and so forth, specific focused stuff. Difficult to say, or possibly the events that are coming this summer even, maybe with Testy Metal. But hopefully we'll hear more from Bethesda before too terribly long. We'll actually get some more details about their involvement and stuff. I doubt they'll deep dive into who's exactly doing what, though, because Bethesda don't do that, and that's fair enough. It tends to give a more direct avenue for criticism at that point. Criticising in general is one thing, but when people have a specific target, that's not a good thing. So, yeah, it's interesting, but an increasing number of people working on the game has got to be a good thing. It means they can focus more on bringing new content. So a few weeks ago, we reported on an interview that Mark Tucker, the design director for Fallout 76, and seems to more or less be the project lead, more or less, at the moment, gave, that was talking about his plan for a 3 to 5 year roadmap that they're working on internally. Obviously not something they share, but I suspect that'll be including 11 working on stuff as well. So very, very cool that this is clearly an investment in the future of the game as well, because, they won't be working for free. So Bethesda will have had to invest in that. It looks like content will be the main thing. It's the biggest thing that people are complaining about. I mean, people always complain about bugs, but that's definitely a secondary consideration compared to bringing out more stuff, because content is what gets people back into the game who have left, it's what brings new players in, and it's what keeps people interested. Bug fixes, to a degree, contribute to that, but nowhere near the degree that content does. And from the look of what's been said here, content is what they're focusing on. So very, very cool for the future. So there's a little interesting comment here down towards the bottom that is talking about how they've worked on the game so far and had small beginnings, but their team is expanding. Sounds like they haven't got the whole studio, all 30 people there working on 76. They've started with a portion of it. That kind of makes sense. They've probably got other projects on the back burner or on the go at once, so they can't just drop what everybody else is working on and jump to 76. But they're also talking about expanding their team to work on 76 more. So it looks like they're planning this as a big long-term thing. They're going to spin up, get more staff in, employ more people to work on it. So in terms of the long-term prospect from that angle, that's really, really cool to see as well. So don't know how they deal with sort of remote working and stuff like that, but certainly if you're in the northern part of England, or southern part of Scotland, given where they are, then yeah, check out their careers page if you're interested in working with them. That's very cool. So all in all, I think this bodes really well for the future of 76. If Bethesda are investing in bringing in an outside team to contract and help on the game, they're clearly willing to put money into the game and its future, which I know a lot of people had their concerns about. Personally, I had no doubts that Bethesda were going to be working on 76 for quite some time yet. But this is just further testament to the fact that they are planning for the long-term future of Fallout 76, and the game is going absolutely nowhere. In the sense of going away, in the sense of new content and stuff, hopefully it is going somewhere. But yeah, that's really, really cool. So I don't really want to speculate too much more on that beyond what I've already said. I'm starting to circle around a bit now, and there's a point where we can go, oh, this will happen, that will happen, and it's just speculation with no actual evidence until we hear more from inside at Bethesda, which has yet to happen. So I don't want to get wildly off the realms of what we can actually draw from what's been said. I don't want to speculate too wildly. So interesting, definitely a positive sign, and I'm very, very happy about it and optimistic about what it means for the future, especially if they're going to be adding more and more people to the 11 team as well. And always good to see larger companies like Bethesda, not that in terms of staff numbers, but in terms of, being big AAA developer, now part of Microsoft, working with much smaller studios and helping them. The culture, at least what Double 11 describes their culture as being like within their studio, is obviously one that looks compatible with Bethesda's, because one of the complaints there have been about Bethesda is not that they don't look after their staff. So it seems Double 11 attempt to foster that kind of environment as well, so they seem like a natural fit personality-wise, for want of a better way of putting it, culture-wise, for a team to work with Bethesda too. So that's really, really cool as well. Definitely like to see stuff like that. Especially seeing, like, as I say, larger companies like Bethesda working with smaller ones to support and uplift. So very, very cool there as well. So one last thing I do want to comment on is out there is a lot of speculation as to what this might imply for whether or not Obsidian might come back and work on some kind of follow-up to New Vegas. Personally, I'm against that whole idea, but that's just me apparently. I don't think this actually makes any difference to that concept whatsoever, though. This is an external studio that Bethesda are hiring to assist with the ongoing development of an existing project, as opposed to an internal Microsoft studio working on a whole new game. They're completely different propositions, so I don't think you can read one thing into the other and connect the two from this at all. I think doing so is just kind of wild speculation at this point. Either that will happen or it won't. Personally, I'm hoping for the won't, but yeah, this basically doesn't have any impact on that, in my opinion at least. Anyway, so on that note, I'm going to wrap this one up here. I hope you found this one interesting and exciting, as I did. Looking forward to hearing more about this and seeing what impact it has in the future. Obviously, we've got the roadmap for this year, so that's not going to massively change going forward. We'll get a few more details, because the roadmap's just a high-level overview. The actual nuance is going to come through the blog post, which of course I will be covering as we go forward. But yeah, looking forward to the future. More content, more expansive content, more people working on it. It's got to be a good thing. Signs of investment is wonderful as well. Very happy to see that. So, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, like, subs, always very much appreciated. Social media links, merch store, and channel memberships, of course, available all down below the video as well, alongside the link to this post if you want to check it out. And if you get a chance to join us for live streams as well, we are of course playing Fallout 76, and we have just started Ghostwire Tokyo, which is a very interesting looking game. So I do hope to see you at those. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.